So there's so many stories that I don't want to be repeating, so let's change it up. Let's play a game. The game is called Did You Know? So I'm going to tell a little something about Dad, and if you've heard it before, maybe today, maybe you experienced it, then you nod your head and smile, okay? If it's something you've never heard before, you can't believe it because it's too crazy, then shake your head and smile, okay? So that's the game. Let's try it off with an easy one. Did you know I never heard my dad swear? He never cussed. Okay, I see some head shaking, nodding. That's good. Some shaking. You can't believe it. Well, it's true, okay? Now you got the game here. This is good. So, did you ever hear Hokey Nelly? So, of course, he didn't say it like that. It was more like, Hokey Nelly! Right? So, you see, Dad would come up and say, did you do the bolts? I'm like, yeah, sure I did, Dad. I did them. Yeah. And he says, did you tighten them up? I'm like, oh, he said, Hokey Nelly! Don't you know, when you put on your shoes, don't you tie your laces? When you put on your shirt, don't you do up the buttons? You put up your pants, you latch them up, or they'll fall off. Hokey Nelly, what's the matter with you? I think you need a kick in the pants. Well, we'll stop that story right there. Okay. I see I got some nods. I see some of you have been working in the shop for my dad. Right? So, you know, Dad was just a kid in World War II, born in 1933, so he never had pleasant memories of war, and he didn't want to tell war stories, but we could trick him into it, you know. We'd say, hey, Dad, you had a lot of older brothers. What did they do during the war, you know? And then he'd tell stories of how they would trick the soldiers. They would give them wrong directions, and they would put salt in the gas tanks or sugar, whatever it was, you know. So we could get him to tell stories, right? So I was supposed to say, did you know, right? No. Did you know he would do that? So Dad's family was poor. They fixed their own clothes. They did their own socks and shoes fixing. They ate anything they could find. Mom was saying sometimes as kids they'd walk to farms, ask if there was any bread that they could share with them, right? So did you know Dad got caught stealing apples? Oh, well, wait. He said he might have found them when he was accidentally taking a shortcut through an orchard. So then my wife reminded me, actually, Dad also got caught stealing oranges with his brother Bert. And so the first story, when they were stealing apples, was like he was 7 years old. How old do you think he was in the second story, stealing oranges? They were like 70. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. The police caught them. It's a good thing they let them go, or they'd still be in California right now. All right, so did you know Dad would eat chicken right down to the bone? He would crunch it and suck the marrow out of the thing. If we had drumsticks, because my mom would make the best fried chicken, he'd say, why don't you eat your bone there? Come on. Well, Dad, I don't like to eat all that slimy stuff on the end. Did you know he would lick his plate? Yeah. Okay, some nods. So you've been over at the house for supper on a Sunday, right? My dad would do that. Did you know, as a kid, Dad got to know Mom at the YMCA. He was in clubs, playing soccer, table tennis, stuff like that, and she would sashay around and keep an eye on him. Yeah. Did you know about when Dad played with Mom's ear and twirled her hair in her fingers? Oh, my brothers know this one. You're nodding your heads there. So, it was on a date, right? Sort of. Mom was in the front with her boyfriend, and Dad was in the back with his girlfriend. After they dropped off Dad's girlfriend, he started playing with Mom's ear, tickling her neck, twirling her hair, and she'd giggle and blush. The other dude never knew what was going on. Well, as they say, oh, what was it? Where's that? Did you know, right? So, did you know Dad smoked? When I was small, I remember walking out of church, all the men would light up. But that was not at Boundary Road. When we got to Boundary Road, that did not fly. So Dad had to smoke at home. But once he forgot his pipe in his jacket, right? And good old Bert, number 3, who was just a little tyke, he pulled that pipe out and stuck it in his mouth, looking over Dad. So Dad didn't know. Bert's showing off the pipe there. Yep, did you know? So did you know Dad and work, his first job in Canada, after only a week, they gave him pay and a nice little pink slip of paper. He couldn't read English. Did you know he had no idea he had just been fired? So Chris mentioned he started building his own company. He started his first project in the basement of his house. And did you know he put that together and it didn't fit out the door? He had to cut it in half, take it out, and put it back together again. Did you know Dad taught us to play chess, checkers, soccer, ping pong, billiards, golf, tennis? He taught us to play hard and work hard. He taught us to weld, to love steel, to drive, to do our best. He showed us to be faithful, to be truthful, to care about others, to jump first and look afterwards, to get in the mud and get dirty, to follow God, to sing and to pray. Did you know Dad was the best?